And we are back to the fourth segment of the GSMC Basketball Podcast presented by the GSMC Sports Network. In this fourth segment, we are going to be talking about the playoff games that are going to be going down tonight, as there are some very good ones. I look forward to watching the Clippers and the Mavericks series because that one is very, very competitive. Now, this is going to be Game 5, and it doesn't seem like Kawhi Leonard is going to be available for Game 5, as that's what the latest reports were saying. So, looks like it's going to be down to James Harden and Paul George yet again to try and sort of lift this Clippers team and win at home at Crypto Arena, because now the series gets taken over to LA in Game 5. And the series is tied right now, so it's 2-2 right now, and they play in LA. So who's going to win this game? Previously with the picks that I've gotten, I've been wrong every single time. So don't necessarily take my word for my picks this time around, but I have the Clippers winning this matchup simply because they're at home. They do have the momentum of beating the Mavericks away, and while the Mavericks were at home, Kyrie, he did play very well in that Game 4, and so did Luka. Luka could have played a little bit better, but I'm only saying that because Luka thought he himself could have played a little bit better. And that could play into the sort of dilemma and the action in Game 5, where it's like Luka got upset that he didn't play that well in the last game, and so now he just comes in and dominates the Clippers in this next game. But I do think that the Clippers, they have much more of an advantage, especially with the players that they have coming off of their bench, and the fact that their offense doesn't become stagnant when you don't give the ball to either James Harden or Paul George, because they do have other options, and they do have other players who could score, and other players who could play make, and other players who can create a shot, unlike the Dallas Mavericks, where they only have two. And when you look at the Mavericks play, it's when Luka doesn't have the ball, or when Kyrie Irving doesn't have the ball, it's really hard to watch the offense that the team is able to generate, because it's what are you doing at this point? And obviously, if with that in mind, and we've seen how the Suns, they ended up losing they ended up getting swept because their players that had the ball in the hand that had the ball in their hands 24/7, they weren't able to do much when it really mattered. So, and they were up against a team that had multiple players that were able to produce for the team, and multiple players that were able to exploit a lot of the weaknesses that they've had. So when a team is able to do that, while at the same time being able to slow down some of the offense of the team, because you only have to worry about 2 or 3 other players, then it just becomes an easy task. And I feel with that in mind, the game plan going into the game, the Clippers already know exactly what they have to do. They have to stop Luka, and they have to stop Kyrie. Obviously, it's easier said than done because they're both really, really good. But if they could force them to having a relatively mediocre game, that ultimately gives them the edge. And they were able to win when they had Kyrie drop 40 points. And even they were up by 31 points and they almost blew it, but they ended up winning in the end. So with the heroics of James Harden, this is actually the first time that James Harden in the postseason, his numbers elevated, as opposed to in previous years where his numbers would go down in the postseason. This is the first time that that's happened. So this is obviously this is good. This is a good sign for the Clippers. excuse me, the fact that James Harden is playing well in the postseason when you really need him, when he's usually like he plays a little bit worse than what he usually does from compared to the regular season. But that's all I have to say about that matchup right there for like the Clippers against the Mavericks. Then the next matchup is the Heat going up against the Celtics. So this is this is an elimination game for the Boston Celtics. They lead the series 3-1 against the Miami Heat. So I guess it's more so an elimination game for the Miami Heat because, you know, they're the ones that are getting eliminated in this playoff series. But it's like still a very intense game for both teams. The Celtics, this now would be the best chance for them to close out because they have the home court advantage. They recently stole both of the games that happened in Miami, so that just completely destroyed Miami's hopes of defending home court. And now the Celtics, like they're a very, very good team when they play in home court, and it took a historic performance from the Miami Heat to even be able to win against the Boston Celtics. So I have confidence in the Celtics, but again, last time I picked the Celtics, the Miami Heat, they shocked me. So don't take my word for it in this time in the series because it's like it doesn't really seem like any of my takes are really have been that good. Especially yesterday's takes where I thought like, you know, the Knicks the Knicks were going into the last game 5 with basically like the exact same scenario that the Boston Celtics are going into their game 5 because they have the lead. They recently beat their opponents in an away game, and now they're going into Game 5 with all the advantage in the world to win. And it's literally like the exact same scenario, but it's like the Knicks, they ended up losing, so there's a slight chance that the Celtics could also end up losing. I hope that I end up being right just for the sake of me being right, but I would prefer that the Celtics, I know that the Celtics are going to end up like winning this series simply because they just are the better team, but I do hope that the Knicks don't have to play them because, like, you know, I have said that the Knicks, they do have the best chances of beating the Celtics in a series, but based on how the Knicks' offense has been in the playoffs, now I'm not entirely so sure. And I'm a little bit worried, but the Celtics, they do seem like the favorites to win out in these playoffs, and they do seem like probably the only real contender in the Eastern Conference. Like, I'd say the contenders right now, like the teams that are looking for a final spot, are between the Nuggets, the Celtics, the Timberwolves, and the Thunder, because the Nuggets, they are the defending champions, so they definitely have to be respected. The Celtics, they've had a lot of success, and they've been favorites for the finals for the longest time, and they also have the best regular season record. And on top of that, the Eastern Conference, like the gap between them and the second seed in the Eastern Conference is much greater than the gap between the 1 seed and the 9th seed in the Western Conference. So that's a lot to take in and a lot to like sort of understand. And not only that, but the rest of the Timberwolves and the Thunder, they ended up sweeping in both of their series. So they're not ones to really mess around with. So that's like basically all the opinion. That's basically all I have to say, like, for this playoff preview. Again, I think the Celtics are going to win in game 5, and I also think the Clippers are going to win in game 5. So we'll see how the matchups go, but that's basically it because we are out of time for this fourth segment, and that is it for the show. Thank you so much for tuning into the GSMC Basketball Podcast presented by the GSMC Sports Network. Your support means a lot to us, so please remember to subscribe to the show, leave a positive review. It really does make a difference. We also invite you to follow us on Facebook, Twitter, TikTok, and Instagram to get more content and updates. And once again, please remember to use the link in the description to get your comments recognized, or the link displayed below the ticker. That is gsmcpodcast.net. Excuse me. Really helps the show. Makes the show much more interactive between myself and you guys. That is it for the show. Thank you so much for tuning in. I am your host, Nelson, and as always, take care.
Let's go. I wake up to a little bit of drool on my pillow, feel like it's gonna be a bad day. Yeah, I'm tired of shit, and the coffee ain't hit yet, damn, ain't that great.